What's going on, guys? National Master James Canty III here with Chess.com, and today we have the top 5 World Championship blunders. Yes, even the best of the best blunder as well. In this first example, we have Anatoly Karpov versus Garry Kasparov in the 1987 World Championship match. Let's see what's going on here. So it's white to move here, and of course, Black is attacking the rook here. Garry Kasparov is attacking his rook. It's a lot of things going on. Looks like king safety is kind of wild for a little bit both, but definitely white. So Anatoly Karpov just says queen takes a6 here, actually. Now we're eyeing g6. Maybe we have this check here as well. And we're also defending g4 at the same time here. Now, Garry, these guys are both in time trouble right now, actually. There's a video, actually, that you can find online. There is a video. Now, of this exact position. But what happened here is Garry looked around the board and he's like, I need to figure this out. G4 would be mate. Queen takes G4 is definitely checkmate if I can divert this rook in somehow, some way. So what does he do? He diverts the rook by playing rook A1. But at the same time, it's an absolute blunder. The game is over after the next move here. And of course, Anatoly Karpov, if you watch the video, he just calmly wrote down the move. And then he looked up and he made his move. No emotion at all. Just made the move here. Queen takes g6. And Garry was like, oh my goodness, what did I do? I cannot believe I just gave this game away. Immediately a blunder, and he resigned right after this move. Reason being, guys, is queen g6 not only is a check, but it defends the checkmate that was here on g4. And the intention after rook a1 was if rook a1, with an obvious reasons, guys, if rook takes, there's pawn takes, which is a beautiful, pretty mate here. And also queen takes, with are both checkmate here, guys. They're both checkmate. But actually, he chose rook a1 here because he was in time trouble. Time trouble gets the best of us. He chose rook a1 and queen takes g6. Bam, there it is. Now we're checking the king, also defending. No matter what you do here, we're just going to take on a1, and the game is virtually over here, guys. And that was blunder number 1 of the World Championships. Now let's get on to blunder number 2. Okay, guys, now on to blunder number 2. We have Viktor Korchnoi versus Anatoly Karpov in 1978, guys. Let's actually see what happened here. Karpov plays rook to c6. Kind of a wild position here, actually. I mean, when is the last time you've ever seen a position like this? Or any time you've seen a position with 2 knights and the rook versus 2 rooks and some pawns. Very dynamic position. King placement's kind of weird here. Maybe some mating threats, especially after rook to c6, threatening rook c1, checkmate on the move. Very, very wild position here. White needs to do something. He needs to defend the checkmate on the back rank, and you have a few ways to do so, whether pushing the h-pawn with some luck for the king, pushing the g-pawn with the same idea, or moving the rook back to defend the rank here. What would you do actually with the white pieces here to defend this checkmate? If I gave you 5 seconds, what would you choose in this position if you were Viktor Korchnoi? Here we go, guys. All right, now let me tell you what the answer is. The answer is actually g3 or g4. Surprising, right? It seems like you would push the h-pawn, but you actually get mated by pushing the h-pawn. So g3 or g4 is actually the only move in this position, and Viktor Korchnoi chose rook to a1. And that, my friend, is not a move. It is a complete blunder right here. Can you find the move, the sequence that our Anatoly Karpov played in this position to win the game, guys? Black to move. What would you do? Here we go, guys. Look at this next move. Oh my goodness. Knight f3 check. Whoa. Knight f3 check. I can just take the knight, can't I? I can just take the knight. Well, what about king h1? What if I just move my king over? Well then, hey, just have a nice day. Smothered mate. This is beautiful. This is going in the books for everyone to see for history, right? So this is just not fun to play that at all. Viktor Korchnoi knew that this hurt here, and he had to take the knight. He was forced to resign in this position, but this is actually what it was. If we do see pawn takes knight on f3 here, well, what's the next move, class? Here it is. Always check. It might be mate. Check. There it is. The king has to go somewhere. You only have one move to go to, and after king h1, oh my goodness, mate with the knight. So beautiful. The pieces were so beautifully placed here. Rook a1 was such a blunder, but it's not an easy blunder. It wasn't just like a huge blunder. It was just hard to see. It was one of the blunders that, like, I didn't know it was a blunder. Rook a1 looks perfectly fine until you play Anatoly Karpov, who says, think again, okay? Think again here. That was blunder number 2, guys. That really hurts here. And the only way to get out of this was actually g3. or g4. So if there are any checks, you kind of just have to run the king away in somehow, some way. Maybe even giving up one of the rooks for the knight and hoping for a draw. Fighting for a draw here because the pieces are placed very nicely here. What an amazing checkmate by Anatoly Karpov here back in 1978 in this World Championship match, guys. That was blunder number 2, and now let's move on to blunder number 3. Now we move on to blunder number 3, World Championship blunder number 3. In this game, we have David Bronstein versus Mikhail Botvinnik in 1951, guys. All right, so let's check this out. Now, it's actually black to move here right now. Mikhail Botvinnik says, I'm going to queen my pawn. I'm going to queen. There is an extra knight here. And right here, you have to stop this pawn from queening, right? Or you're just going to lose the game. David Bronstein understands that here. So he's trying to figure out the best way to do this. Now, what would you play in David Bronstein's shoes here? How do you actually stop this pawn? Is there a way to stop this pawn? What would you do? Well, here we go, guys. The best move and best sequence is actually knight to e6, followed by knight to d4. And we just stop the pawn. Pretty simple, and it actually ends up being some type of draw here. But white wants more. White's up a piece, and he wants to win this game. So what he chooses is actually king to c2, which is actually a full-on game over blunder. Now, what Bronstein expected right here actually was what, guys? Let's actually see if you can figure that out. Black to move. Mikhail Botvinnik, you're playing Botvinnik's shoes here. What do you think you should do? What do you think you should do? What would be your number one move? What would that be? Here it is, guys. Actually, David Bronstein and many other players here were actually expecting king to f3. And if king to f3, then knight comes in. And if king f2 or pushing the pawn, doesn't matter how you do it, we're putting knight to d4. And we're just going to take the pawn here. Pretty simple here, right? But Mikhail Botvinnik says, haha, I don't have to go king f3. I don't have to go king f3 at all. He actually plays this right here. King to g3, shocked. David Bronstein didn't even believe it. He was like, is that even a real move? Is it even legal? It's there. The game ends on the spot right here, guys. The game was over as we finish it out here. King to g3. Now, after king g3, if you try the same move, knight here, we push it. Now we're going to queen. How do you stop the queen? You got to go here, and then we zigzag right into checkmate here, or right into queening, followed by checkmate coming right after very soon, right? It hurts to see it. As soon as he saw king to g3, shocked. Oh my goodness, I can't believe this even happened. What just happened here? I'm up a full piece. Now I'm losing the game because there's nothing else to do. The only move in this position was moving the knight to e6 and coming around and end up taking the pawn and settling for a draw. Absolutely insane how this happened here. It was a huge blunder. King c2 was just a blunder on the spot. King g3 wins on the spot. Nothing you can do. Even bringing the king to either square, we go king f2 and we queen anyway. What a blunder back in 1951 World Championship. David Bronstein versus Mikhail Botvinnik. And that was blunder number 3, guys. So now let's move on to World Championship blunder number 4. All right, guys. Now, does this blunder look familiar to anyone? Does anyone remember this position? This was Magnus Carlsen versus Viswanathan Anand back in 2014. Okay, guys, this is World Championship match. And actually right here, it's white to move. Viswanathan Anand Vishy just went rook to g8 here, rook d to g8, and actually just putting some pressure on the g file here. Now, Magnus, for thinking for a little bit, actually plays this move here. King to d2, straight up blunder. Blunder, guys. King to d2 is not a move here. Now, what black is supposed to do, what do you mean supposed to do? Didn't he make the move in the game? No, he didn't. He missed it. Vishy Anand missed the winning move here. He actually plays a4 in the game. In the game, he returned the favor here, actually, and plays a4. But what was supposed to happen, it could have ended the game very quickly, guys, in a few moves here. Can you spot the move that Vishy Anand and Magnus Carlsen, both of them missed? The surprising tactic here that basically wins the game. You can go on to win the game from this position. What do you actually play here with black? This is what Vishy missed. He missed knight takes e5, guys, right here. Knight takes e5. Bam, what a shot. Oh my goodness, knight takes e5. It's a simple blow, but it ends the game on the spot. Well, what's going on? Why is knight takes e5 winning? Isn't the knight hanging? Absolutely it's hanging, but your rook's hanging. You take my knight, I take your rook. That's an easy win. Or how about, you know, maybe rook takes rook first, which is probably going to be the best line. Rook takes rook. Then after knight takes c4, an in-between move or an intermezzo, or what they call a Zwischenzug, at the the same time, knight takes c4 is check. So you have two moves, king e2 or king to d3. King e2 doesn't do anything. I'm just going to take back on g8. Now, if king to d3, knight to b2 check, another in-between move before coming and taking the rook here. King moves, no matter where you go, I'm going to take on g8. And we're going to go on to win this game. With this hanging, of course, we're up a little bit of material. Now, of course, bishops versus knight here. But this is not what Magnus wanted at all here. Now, they both missed it, guys. They absolutely both missed it here, which is absolutely amazing. And a4 was actually the move played in the game here, guys. But what a blunder, missed, by the way, by both of the world champions. 100% amazing here that even the best of the best miss these type of shots all the time. a4 was played and knight takes e5 was winning, guys. I remember actually watching this and I was like, knight takes e5. I remember feeling it like that looks good, and he missed it, and everyone around the world went crazy that he missed. FISCHER missed knight takes e5, guys. This was blunder number 4, and now we're going to move on to the final world championship blunder of today. And here we are, guys, with blunder number 5, world championship blunder number 5. Does anyone recognize this position? Very famous, very, very famous position here. If I give you 5 seconds, can you call this game? Who is playing this game? What world championship match is this one? Here we go, guys. It is Boris Spassky versus Robert James Fischer, aka Bobby Fischer, back in 1972 here. Let's actually see what happened. Now, white plays b5, and actually just virtually an equal game. This should end up being a draw. Pawns on both sides of the board, same color bishop here. King's in a slightly better place for white, but honestly, objectively, just a drawn position with perfect play. Now, what happened here is Bobby Fischer just played the craziest move you could see here. We didn't understand it. Why was it played? But it was played. It was a blunder. 100% a blunder here, guys. Here it is. Bishop takes h2. He just takes the pawn. Takes the pawn. Bishop takes h2 is not a move in any way, shape, and form. And after bishop takes h2, Boris Spassky just looks at him and looks down at the board and looks back up at him and then plays g3. Your bishop is trapped. And then we're going to walk our king over and take it. Now, after h5, king e2, h4, king f3, king e7, king g2. And the game's over. Take pawn, take pawn. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That's the piece. And Boris Spassky went on to win this game. Amazing how we just blunder sometimes. Even the best of the best make blunders. Now, not all the time. They blunder way less than we do. They're half human and half something else from a different chess planet. But at the same time, they still make blunders here. What a blunder by Bobby Fischer here. Bishop takes h2, g3. And the game was virtually over, guys. This is a famous blunder here, guys. Definitely do your research on this one. Check out our Chess.com articles on this one as well, and other World Championship blunders as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I'm National Master James Canty III with Chess.com, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.